Happy New Year! I'm super excited to be here with you today. I think it's a couple days into the new year, but the sentiment still, applies. Because I'm coming to you from a place today, as you can see the title of today's live stream. It's called How to Love Your Life. I friggin' love my life. My life rocks. And it's not because I've been getting every single thing that I've wanted, at least in the form that I expected it. It's not because of that. It's not because that the last couple of months have been challenge free. If you've been following me, you've been checking out the stuff on my personal profile, the last few months have not been challenge free for me. But I do still love my life. And as I've gotten wiser, I was going to say older, but I like wiser better. As I've gotten wiser, what has become much more important to me than making a lot of money in my business, and I do fairly well, right? And by the way, if you want to get your business to consistent 50 and 100K months, check me out at DesireeStafford.com, okay? So I do fairly well financially, but what I appreciate the most and why my life feels unfucking believably amazing right now is because of the people that I choose to surround myself with. So whether that's clients, which is a big deal, and we'll talk about that today, friends, people who I employ, it matters who we allow into our lives, right? And who we decide doesn't really need front row access anymore. And so part of this came up as a result of a conversation I was having with a real estate investor today. I have a real estate investment business in addition to my coaching and consulting business, and I am looking to sell some of my properties. And so I was speaking with an investor today, very seasoned investor, and we had a great conversation about how to be successful in this business. Any business, really. We were talking about real estate, but it really applies to any business. And one of the things that he shared with me, and I love this philosophy, is he said that he purges every couple of years, meaning he'll start to look at his list of tenants. He does buy and hold, and he also does some flipping. He has a combination of both. So he's a really smart business model where he has, big cash coming in and also steady cash flow from the rentals, right? But what he says he does, and I wish I had met him when I got started 10 years ago, because that would have changed the trajectory of my real estate business. I don't know that it would have changed or prevented me from getting into the coaching industry, because this is my first love, what I do. But it would have changed things in that area anyway, because it's been a little stressful. So anyhow, what he says is he purges. So he will go and he'll start looking at his client roster, and he will, if the client or if the tenant is, a bugaboo, right? Like calling all the time, or maybe not paying rent on time, or any of that kind of stuff, he'll release them from their lease, right? So obviously he would have to have some kind of clause in the lease. Maybe it's after a year they've been in the lease and it's now on a month-to-month type of term. He then has the legal right to say, I no longer want to continue to rent to you, right? And so he says that he does that. So he's essentially getting rid of the bad apples, and anything can happen, right? When you're working with a tenant, when you're working with a client, because obviously most of you are coaches, right? And mentors and transformation leaders or what have you. So you can apply, when I say tenant, you can apply this to, client selection and the people that you're working with, because it's all the same type of thing, right? So if you think about the fact that, there will be some clients who may have started out, or tenants who may have started out being great people to work with, right? Great business partnership. Things happen. People experience divorce, people experience financial upset, people lose their jobs. Anything can happen that can turn a great tenant into a no longer, a no longer fun tenant to have, right? Or a no longer a fun client to have. And why does this matter? It matters because for your own sanity, number one, for your ability to sustain your business, right? And not be constantly distracted by people who are not pulling their weight in the partnership, because any business engagement is a partnership, right? Then you must be willing to let go of those folks who no longer fit into the mold of what it is that you're building. You have to be willing to do this. And this is the problem. Most people, I will count myself as one of those who used to be this way in the past, are afraid to do that. They're afraid to say, nah, it's not working out. Let me let this person go. Typically, they'll do that when it gets really bad, right? You ignore your intuition, and you'll typically wait until the person is like 3 or 6 months late on their rent to finally pull the plug and say, I don't think this is working out. Or a client who is not paying you, right? You'll put up with that for weeks, sometimes months at a time, before you finally pull the plug. And in all of that time, what are you practicing? You're practicing settling. You're practicing putting someone else above you, right? You're also enabling that client, right? You're also enabling that client to get something for free, which doesn't serve them to begin with, right? So it is in your best interest. It is in your client's best interest. Anyone that you are doing business with, it is in the best interest of all parties involved that you do something like this investor suggested. Now, I'm going to roll this over and speak specifically to clients, because a lot of my clients recently have been releasing clients or turning down prospects because I've been in their ear, right, about whether or not that client is really ready mentally, emotionally, spiritually, not just financially, because most people are looking, well, does this person have a credit card, or do they have access to cash to pay me? You need to be looking way deeper than that. You need to make sure that any client that you sign is mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready to receive what you have to offer. Because if you do not, number one, they won't get the results. Thanks for the love, by the way. Hey, Nancy Ray, how are you? Hey, Erica. Hey, Angelica, how are you? If they're not ready, they're not going to be able to receive the results that you can actually help them experience, because they'll be blocking it. They'll be resisting it. They'll be in their stuff too much, right? There is such a thing as being too afraid, right? Too afraid to do what is necessary in order for them to get the results. And typically what happens is when they're not getting the results, what do? You start to blame yourself. You start to think, oh my gosh, it's my fault. Trust me, I've been there 101 times and counting, right? You start to think, oh my God, it's my fault, right? I'm the reason that this client isn't getting the results. And so now I can't play a bigger game because I don't have proof that my shit works. Doesn't matter that 100 other clients are getting results from what you tell them. You still want to focus on this one client who's not, right? So what I would recommend that you do is really be honest with yourself about where people are at and allow people their own experience, right? We're not here to save people. We can't do it for them. We can't want it for them more than they want it for themselves, right? So you have to be willing to allow a person to have their experience. And there are some people who will attempt to throw money at a problem, but they're not mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready to actually realize the change in their lives, to realize the transformation that they say that they want. There are a lot of people who are stuck there, right? And it's your job to make sure that thanks for the love. Thank you, Nancy. It's your job to make sure that you are only letting the right people into your world. It's your fucking job, right? A lot of times as coaches, as mentors, as, transformational experts, it's very easy to say that, the client didn't do the work and that's why they didn't get the results. Yeah, that's true. But you let them in the door, right? You let them in the door. So it is your responsibility, and trust me, there will be times when you make mistakes. We're not perfect, right? There are times when maybe we're not even on our game until we miss the red flags. But if you do, you need to decide what you're going to do about it moving forward. I mean, I've had clients, actually a client just shared in my group yesterday that she released a $45,000 client, right? Because this person wasn't showing up. She had the money, right? But she wasn't showing up for herself. She wasn't willing to do the work, right? So then why would my client invest her time, her energy, her gifts, her skills, her talents in someone who's not willing to show up for themselves? You can't carry your people, right? They're actually not even your people if they want to be carried, correct? All right. So it's important that you're mindful of this, that you're aware of this, and that you either don't let them in the door, or if you do let someone in the door and they're not showing up for themselves, that you're willing to confront that. You're willing to address it with folks. And if nothing changes, because I had a client last week who was questioning whether or not she should re-sign a client who didn't show up for herself after 3 months, If nothing changes, you release them, right? You let them go. Let them figure out the rest of their journey on their own or with somebody else, because they're not ready to receive what you have to offer them, right? And you have to be willing to do that, because here's what I understand. And I know this from my own personal experience. I also know it from, coaching my clients. It can feel very scary to release someone. You can have a sense of guilt, like, well, if I know I can help this person, shouldn't I help this person, right? And so you want to overgive, you want to over-deliver, but you have to recognize that some people are just not where they need to be. So take that as a lesson for you so that you understand what you need to be looking for, right? The client who released a $45,000 client didn't just release her on a whim. I had her really sit down and think about, well, what are the red flags for you? What are non-negotiables for you? What does this person need to do to prove that they're actually ready to work with you? And if they're not meeting that criteria, what are you going to do about it, right? That's the hard stance that we need to take with ourselves, so then we can actually take that stand with our clients and with our prospects, so that they actually get the fucking results. Because maybe they are not ready to get the result with you. Maybe they need to struggle a little bit more. Maybe they need to bang their head up against the wall a little bit more. And that doesn't sound like it's coming from a place of compassion, but it actually is, right? Because a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, right? So because you see that they should change, or that, you can help them turn their lives around, doesn't mean that they're ready to fucking do that. And that's their right. It's their prerogative. So you have to let them go until they get to the place, that breaking point in their lives where they say, you know what, it's time to clean this shit up, right? So you have to be willing to do that, right? But let's circle back to the whole point of today's live stream and how to love your life, right? You love your life when you are treating yourself with enough respect, with enough care, with enough compassion, that you are willing to say no to the wrong people. And not wrong because they're bad people, or that they're not worthy, or that they don't have potential, because that's not our place to judge. However, it is our place to assess whether or not the people who are showing up are at the level of consciousness where they need to be to actually have a front row seat in our lives. We do have the right to make that decision, right? We do have the right to be that discerning. And again, this is not coming from a place of judging someone wrong, right? It's just coming from a place of, hey, I'm playing at this level. You're not ready to play at this level. I wish you the best, right? I wish you the best. So that is the critical thing to having a life that you love. To, no matter what you're going through, no matter what the up-level challenges or whatever it is that you're going through right now. I had a client just email me and she's like, she wants to do 6 figures this month, and I know that she can do that shit, right? And she's like, and then all of a sudden, she, had some unexpected news that she didn't expect, or that, that she wasn't looking forward to. And she's like, this up-leveling shit is tough. Hell fucking yeah, it's tough, right? But she has me and she has the other women in my mastermind, so she'll get through it. And that's another part of, making sure that you have an incredible life, is having the proper support around you, right? Having colleagues who get you, who understand what you're going through, who can help you look at things from a different perspective, who can cheer you on, when it feels like it's getting to be too much, all of that kind of stuff, right? It's making sure that you have, your partners on board with you, the people in your family, those who are able to support you in the way that you want to be supported, right? It's making sure those people are behind you, because if you're trying to do this alone, you're not going to be happy. Right? You're not going to be happy, because more important, again, as I've gotten wiser, I was going to say older again. I got to train myself out of that. As if the gray hairs didn't give it away. As I've gotten wiser, what has become so much more apparent to me is that the quality of my life is the most important thing, right? So no matter what I'm going through on my up-level journey, and just know that no matter what level you're up-leveling to, guess what? The shit's gonna fucking hit the fan. It just is what it is. But the way to, you can't circumvent it, right? But the way to minimize the emotional pain, if you will, is to be surrounded by the right people, right? Whether it's the right people in your business. I shouldn't even say whether it's right people in your business, because you want to be surrounded by the right people all the way around, right? You want to be surrounded by the right people in your business. You want to be surrounded by the right people in your personal life, right? That's just what we want. And you have control over that, right? You have control over the clients that you bring into your business or that you allow to stay in your business. You have control over the people that you hire to support you, whether those be assistants, whether they be your tech people, anybody. Right now, I'm doing pretty well. I have an awesome assistant, hiring another one because she's awesome too. And I decided, listen, why have one when I can have two? How awesome is that, right? I have great people on my real estate team, great real estate attorney, great real estate agent. You know what I mean? So like things are shifting, but I'm telling you this because for a very long time, actually great contractors too, right? But for a very long time, it wasn't that way. For a very long time, I allowed myself to put up with a lot of bullshit because I didn't want to. I knew I had very high standards and I had gotten a lot of pushback in the past. And so I didn't want to be the bitch, if you will. So I didn't really like to call people out on stuff, which is why I wrote a post today about being confrontational, right? Because I understand what it's like when you're afraid to have conversations with people because it makes you feel uncomfortable, right? And you're afraid of how they're going to react to you. But I also recognize that you can't allow that fear to stop you because it's a disservice to you, obviously, but it's also a disservice to the other people in your world, right? Even if they feel uncomfortable in that moment, what you have to say, your truth, expressing that is powerful for the relationship. It's also typically going to be powerful for their transformation. If we're talking about clients that you're serving, right? If we're talking about people that you're in relationships with, like personal relationships with, right? So all of this matters. And all of this is what contributes more than money, okay? All of this is what contributes to having a quality of life that makes you feel so fucking lit up and inspired that you jump out of bed. That sometimes you can't even fucking sleep because you're so goddamn excited about what you're up to. And not only what you're up to, but what your people are up to, right? That's the kind of life that I'm living now. And this is the kind of life that I've always wanted, right? This is the kind of life that I've always wanted. And so for me to get to have this and not only have it from me, but to also be able to witness my clients experiencing this on like in their own lives, it's breathtakingly beautiful to me. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, well, I don't need the money because I do fucking like making money. But I love more. The bigger, what impresses me the most is what I mean to say is the transformation that my clients experience on their journey to making more money than they've ever imagined, with a greater sense of ease and with the peace of mind that comes from being true to yourself, right? Being true to your high standards, asking for what you want, not worrying about what other people think of you, and creating space for the right people, the people who also get you, the people who support you, the people who are running as fast as you, if not faster than you, right? The people who are on your level of consciousness, the clients who are mentally, spiritually, and emotionally ready to receive from you, allowing those people in, right? And letting go of the ones who are not there without feeling any guilt, without feeling any shame, without beating up on yourself, without trying harder, right? Because that's what it's really about. That's what I took away from the conversation that I had with the investor earlier today. It was so funny because we were so on the same wavelength. He was like, yeah, the most important thing to me right now is quality of life. I was like, yeah, you fucking nailed it. Like, that's exactly what it's about for me, right? Quality of life is the, there. Quality of life is the, wait. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I just realized I keep talking. And I don't know if you guys can hear me. And my sound wasn't working properly last week. Can you guys hear me? I hope so. I have a tendency to go off on tangents. So can you guys hear me? If not, I'll just keep going and then I'll re-record later if I have to. So I hope you guys got a lot of value out of what I shared with you today. If you have questions and you can actually hear me, then shoot them to me in the comments below and I'll respond. Because I think as you're starting this year, 2018, I think when you're at that place of planning your goals, like what do you want your year to look like? and you're thinking about how much money you want to make and maybe even how many people you want to serve, all that kind of stuff, obviously don't forget to factor in how many hours you want to work to get there, right? Because you do not have to work yourself, like run yourself ragged in order to like achieve your goals. Trust me on that. So as you're thinking about all of that, I also want you to start thinking about what is the quality of life that you want to experience this year, right? Make that a number one priority for you. And I'm not trying to tell you, well, you know, it's not about money. Like, don't even think about the money. Because some people will say that, like, oh, it's not about money for me. Blah, 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 blah. I think that's crap. I think everybody likes to have money because you can do nice things with it, right? But don't let that be the only factor, right? When you're thinking about your success, when you're thinking about what would make this an awesome year for you, also think about the quality of life you want to live and what is going to require, what that's going to require of you, right? Who are the people that you need to let go of? Who are the types of people that you need to bring more of in, right? And make sure that you come up with a plan to allow that to happen. And part of that plan is going to be actually taking the action to let some people go. That's going to be part of your plan. Cool? All right. So, yay, you can hear me. Yay! Okay. Any questions before I wrap it up? I'm like so excited about this year. I am beyond excited about this year. I really am. I mean, my clients are just kicking ass like nobody's business. Kicking ass myself. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty fucking excited. And again, this has not been a smooth ride. There have been many, many bumps along the road. And a lot of things are still unresolved, but my perspective has changed. One of my friends says that, as we experience certain challenges, our ceiling of complexity continues to get higher and higher. And so that's what happens. Even though up-leveling can be a challenge, when you get through, when you stay the course, when you don't tuck and run, you become stronger, you become wiser, right? And so you learn from your mistakes and you keep it moving. And so if you don't take anything else from that, or from today, take that, and also take the fact that, you've got to be very, very diligent about monitoring who you allow into your world, right? And be willing to let some folks go. It's okay. Don't beat up on yourself because of that. Be willing to let some folks go. It's best for you. It's best for them. And and allow yourself to fucking be happy, right? Just allow yourself to be happy. How about that? When you think about your goals, let's add this. When you think about your goals for 2018, one of the questions I would challenge you to ask yourself is, what would make me the most happy? What would make me the most happy? What would bring me the greatest sense of joy? What would bring me peace of mind, right? And when you are thinking about the financial aspect of your goals, one of the things you can ask yourself is, how can I achieve my financial goal easily? What's the easiest, most fun way for me to achieve my financial goal? Because that is how you create the intention, the expectation that it will be easier for you, that you're not going to have to stress, you're not going to have to hustle, you're not going to have to work yourself into exhaustion, right? Because if you don't plan to get rid of that stress, to get rid of that, fast-paced, busy bee stuff, then you're going to repeat that pattern, right? So these are all the kind of things that you want to think about when you're creating your plan for 2018, and really consider the quality of life that you want to live and what is going to allow you to get there, okay? And I promise you, it's a bigger decision than just the numbers that you want to hit this year, okay? Cool. All right. If you have any questions, wait. I cannot tell you, Nancy. But here, I can tell you, I'll give you one of my goals, because I have several. One of my goals is $1 million by the end of March of 2018. That's one of my goals. And not starting from scratch. I did $500,000 last year, so I'm halfway there. But between now and March, because I learned a lot. You guys should go, if you haven't seen the post that I did, I think I did it like maybe December 30th or something like that. Read through that post, because I share a lot about the mistakes that I've made. I was very honest and transparent about it. I made a lot of mistakes. I allowed some of the challenges that I've been going through to be a distraction, which has been a pattern for me. It's a pattern for many people, where we allow like these hiccups, these upsets to take our eye off the ball. And I did that. I allowed myself to get overly emotionally invested in, situations that were stressful, yes, that needed to be dealt with, yes, but I did not need to allow myself to get to the place that they slowed me down to the level that they did. Okay? Now, I can say that without beating up on myself, right? Because I'm human. I get it. You know what I mean? It was a mistake that I made. I learned a lot from it, and it's going to make me a lot of fucking money. Okay? So that's one of my big goals for this year. Anyone else have any other questions before I wrap up? Thanks for asking that question, by the way. Any other questions before I wrap up? Glad you guys are here, and I hope you guys have an awesome fucking year. I will be back. Today's what, Wednesday? Maybe Friday or so with another live stream. Who knows? All right, guys. Take care. Bye.